Hello, everybody. Welcome to week two. This week in online teaching and learning at LaSalle, we're going to be focusing on goals and objectives. Goals, what do you hope students will be able to know and do by the time they've completed your course? And objectives, how will you measure whether or not your students have achieved those goals? Also, you're going to begin designing in your course sandbox. You're going to design a course welcome that clarifies expectations for your students and creates the beginning of an online learning community where they're going to be able to learn effectively. Also joining us this week in our discussion forum, and right now, is Associate Dean Denny Fry. Is it Fry or Frey?
Fry.
Fry.
It is, like a French fry.
Like a French fry. Will join us to provide insight into LaSalle University's core curriculum learning objectives. And I'm going to turn it over to him now so he can do that.
Thanks, Matt. Welcome to LaSalle. I am an Associate Dean of Curricular Integration, and I have been deeply involved with the core curriculum for a very long time at LaSalle. And the core curriculum is actually a great example of, well, Heidi's going to talk about this backward design a little bit, but we started with three broad goals: intellectual skills, knowledge perspectives, and synthesis and application. And then under each one of those three broad goals, we built objectives. Now, I'm not going to go into those because they're very specific and detailed for the core curriculum, and I'll get into those in the interactions we have during this week too, as I guest lecture and interact with you all. Generally, though, those three broad skills can be applied across the university. Indeed, if you're teaching undergraduate or graduate level courses, we hope that our students, as part of the connected learning mission of LaSalle, come away with developed intellectual skills, deeper knowledge perspectives, and an interdisciplinarity, a way to see the world from multiple different perspectives. And last, and probably most importantly, the ability to synthesize and apply those skills and those ways of seeing the world, those habits, dispositions, so forth and so on. So I'm very excited to be a guest lecturer this week, talking more about good teaching and learning at LaSalle, especially through the online medium, and I look forward to interacting with you all. And here's Heidi.
So in online teaching and learning, the design philosophy we follow is backward design. And this week we're going to take the first steps in the backward design process. So we're going to define our goals for our students. What are our big picture things we want our students to be able to do? And then, if it's understand global warming, how are we going to measure that? What are the things our students will be able to do that will tell us that they do understand global warming? So in your discussion forum, you're first going to list your goals for your students, and then you're going to list outcomes, objectives for your course. And we're asking you to respond to at least one peer commenting on their objectives. So do you understand what those course objectives are? If you were a student in the class, could you tell if you'd met those objectives? And are they things that you'll be able to do, or is it just a list of assignments or a list of topics for you? If you're not sure how to comment on someone's objectives, pretend you're a student in your class. Does this make sense to you as a student? Now, I know some of you have been given syllabi to work from that you're not authorized to modify, so you may have already objectives that somebody's told you can't change. Well, in online teaching and learning, in your sandbox, you can change them. So go ahead, do whatever you feel like, and then in the final version of the course that you show to the students, go back to the originals, and we'll talk later about ways you can support them in understanding what the objectives are. Matt's going to tell you now about the next assignment.
All right. So yeah, that's the discussion forum this week to discuss goals and objectives. We're also going to ask you to finish a course design assignment this week. We would like you to create a first draft of your course welcome. So like I was talking about earlier, how are you going to clarify expectations and welcome individuals into an online learning community? So in this draft, we're going to look for a welcome message from you, a personal bio to be shared in some easily accessible way, and just introduction from yourself to your students, and providing an avenue for them to do the same. We also want you to include a link to your syllabus. Your syllabus does not need to be finished, but we would like it to have the goals and objectives that you're going to be working on this week, and as much material as you already have completed. There's a course welcome checklist in this week too that you can go through to check to make sure your syllabus includes a lot of essential information to see whether it has that or not yet. And yeah, when you finish the first draft of your course welcome, please submit a link to your Sandbox site as your assignment in online teaching and learning at LaSalle, and that will complete that particular assignment. So yeah, that is it for the orientation for this week. Great seeing you all, everybody. Again, if you have any questions, please put them in the questions and resources form. You can also email us directly at tlc@laselle.edu or give us a call, 617-243-2001. If you're on campus, drop by. We're in Brennan Library, room G18. Happy to meet with you in any way, shape, or form and help you out in any way you can.
Matt and Heidi always have coffee and tea.
Yes, coffee and tea is right over there. I'm having some of it right now. Bye-bye, everybody. See you online.